I get it. Hello again, it's Matt. Someone messaged me and told me this game would be right up my alley. So I started playing it and I immediately liked it, so I'm just going to take you through how my process of playing the game went, how I developed my thoughts about it over time. There's going to be a fair amount of spoilers, and so just be warned. So here we go. If I want to earn my great uncle's house and love and inheritance, I have to find the room. I don't have a mom, I'm just a kid on my own, but I won't let this magical mansion castle beat me. So this game is played by drafting each room. You get three choices and you choose your path. You choose the room based on its effects, or if you can just afford it. And the goal is to get to the antechamber at the top of the map. Along the way, you'll manage a bunch of different resources, but the most important one is your steps. This is a representation of how many times you can move between rooms before you run out of time in a day. And when you run out of time in a day, or you call the day manually, the whole mansion will reset. It's a roguelike. I can only assume that if you're still inside the mansion at night when it reverts, you would be killed like somebody who was driving a transformer when it turned into a robot. Besides being an extremely well-made game, it really has that roguelike feel of just one more attempt. I can get it this time. It's great, and it's why I played it so much. This house is low-key a nightmare. If you want a bathroom, you're going to have to draft it for yourself, or run to it if you've already placed it. You know what? This room is terrible. It doesn't have any items in it, and I don't even like the style of it. Let's go outside for a bit. Listen, this is a really nice-looking camp, but that tent is going to flood if it ever rains, and you can't leave a fire alone. It'll get lonely and go looking for friends. There are a lot of bird baths here. I have never seen a bird use a bird bath in real life, although I did one time see a pigeon flopping around in a puddle of grease. But you know what they say, nature is beautiful. All of this stuff outside will make sense with time. I recently heard the term Mindtroidvania, which is to say, as you learn things, paths are unlocked, and I'm not sure how I feel about that term, but I do think it works here. And I'm out of paths. That's the end of my first day, and I'm gonna have to call it here. You know what they say, when you don't draft enough doors, God mocks you for not drafting enough doors. Keys are so precious, and this hallway wants 7 of them? I got scammed. I don't know what kind of game Dirigiblox is, but I desperately want to play it on this arcade machine. The art choices in this game are very weird, but on purpose, because that's this game's style. Weird on purpose. The game also loves to convey hints like this. Look super close at every picture, and note, and feel bad if you miss things. Also now I can open the orchard. Listen, this is a dire warning. Do not waste time writing down various dates. I took so many screenshots and notes as I played this game, basically any book or note or tableau that felt important, and it was all worthless. And don't draft the archive unless you're sure you want it, because it's just for lore, and it will otherwise debuff your run in the worst way possible. I mean, look at this. I can't even see what I'm picking now. Thanks, archives. For sale, nursery room. Never born? Hey. This kid's book's pages are not read. Unless it's because he's reading them, and then they are. God damn it. The magnifying glass is essential for finding secrets and notes and things in this game because they like to write things really tiny so that you need it. And also, it helps me because my eyes are essentially as powerful as 2 painted marbles. The first time you open the garage on the west side of the house and are able to go outside from there is monumental. It actually feels really great even though it's such a simple thing. The first time you find the pump room, you're going to spend like an hour in the pump room trying to figure out how to use the pump room and what it's good for. Here's just a bunch of footage of me doing just that. The payoff is amazing though, and you do need it for progression, and you feel just great about it once you make it work the way you want it to. Not to punch down on fictional children, but some of these classroom kids are really dumb. So, practically speaking, the process to open this diary is not really that hard, but it did take me about 50 hours to actually open it. So now I want to talk about the 2 paintings meta puzzle that is present in every room of the main mansion of this game. Once you go to the study, you can read some notes and find out that this is actually a puzzle and not just weird quirky paintings that they put all throughout the rooms. When you look at the paintings, you will see that there's 2 of them, each of them has a single picture on them, and you figure out what word it's using for those. For instance, here we have rate and crate. The different letter is C, so on the map, that room is C. Now what this means is that when you go to every room in the map and you figure out what letter goes in that room, you can write out a message. This actually takes you several runs, or at least in my experience it did, once you even understand that it is a puzzle. Now once you've done this, you can read a message that's been written out on the 44 rooms that have letters on the map. The antechamber doesn't count, it is a space. And the message is as follows. If we count small gates, 8 dates crack 8 safes. And what this means is that when you encounter a safe in this game, You can usually make the code for it as a 4-digit code, like a date, by counting the small gates in the room on the art, or perhaps just scattered around the room itself. And I think this is brilliant. This whole meta puzzle to make a code, and then that tells you how to crack the safes that you'll run into. It's all great. I love this kind of thing. It's one of my favorite things about the game. So once you get a room that actually connects to the antechamber, you will find out that the door is closed. Every single side of the antechamber is sealed, because nothing is really ever easy in this game, and that's fine, because here's a lever in the Great Hall. I thought it was a scam room, but it has a lever and it's did. And now we can go to the antechamber. Getting into the antechamber yields you a short note and a basement key. Now, I'm a gamer. I'm no stranger to long sessions on the computer, but I can proudly say I've never pissed in a bottle. Speaking of gaming, my favorite part of Shenmue was when you move the forklift around. So the two main barriers to progress in the basement are the reservoir, which you're going to need to drain, and the gears, which you're going to need to turn to make a path for you to continue forward. Now, to be able to turn the gears enough to make that path, you're also going to need to drain the fountain and enter the basement through that side. So I just drafted a room called the Shelter, and the Shelter has a time lock safe in it, which you can set the date on when it's going to open. So you can figure out what day it is in this game in a number of ways, but the rule of thumb is that it is November 7th on the first day of the game, and there's infinity clocks in this house to figure out what time you should set the safe to. So you set it, and you wait, and you get it wrong, and you fix it, and you do that again, and you get it wrong again, and then you fix it, and you wait, and boom goes the dynamite. In the Rumpus Room, you can meet the best character in the game, Alzara, the fortune-telling machine. This guy rules, and every time you talk to him, he has a different speech and cutscene for you to watch, and they're all really creepy and interesting. I found a treasure map, it led me to this room, I cut through the rock and stone.
We're rich!
This boiler room puzzle is giving me strong flashbacks to Myst, and that is pretty much the highest praise I can give this game. Okay, this room explains why Great Uncle Sinclair was rich and has this mansion. This is a Bitcoin mine. I didn't realize there were actual mines. This book shouldn't even be in the library. It has more redactions than a bad SCP. Okay, I finally moved enough water and gears around to make it through this hallway to this creepy room with a bunch of doors and this lever. This lever opens the north door of the antechamber, presumably letting me go to my goal, room 46. Now, the story so far has been pretty light, but I know that this character's mother is missing after she pulled a heist, and I believe that she is hiding in room 46, so let's go there. So, no mom, kind of a disappointment, but there is a fancy crown and some notes and a scene and the credits of the game. I guess that means we won. Except, psych, there's actually dozens more hours of gameplay in this game if you intend to chase the larger secrets. There's a bunch of trophies you can earn, and some things that are pretty close to a true ending. From here on out, the days go by pretty quickly, as like most roguelikes, it gets kind of repetitive, and that's part of the formula, but it doesn't mean you need to watch it. So I'm just going to hit some high notes in the rest of this video, and you can have 40 hours of progress condensed into just a few minutes. Once I reached the first ending of the game and started playing for days on end without any actual progress, I started to have some issues with the quality of life of the game. There's a lot of padding, and one of the main things is it takes too long to end a day and start a new day. It's a roguelike. You want it to be punchy. Other complaints include how long the boat cutscenes are, or how long it takes to dig up a treasure chest with the treasure map. There's a lot of little things that sort of add up and you get tired of over time. Like every time you have to use the security room to change the security settings, and it takes far too long using these old computers, or God help you if you're logging into the network and connecting to another computer remotely. There's some new elements that you'll start encountering after you finish the game the first time. One of them is sanctum keys. Each sanctum key allows you to go into one of these weird doors near the lever that led us into the final room. Behind each door is a setup that looks pretty much the same for each of them, although it's a different symbol representing a different country in the middle of each wheel. Now, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'll get back to you on that. 40 hours later, I'm back to you on that. It's very simple. So fully draining the reservoir presents you with about, I'm going to say 20 different locked boxes, most of which just have notes in it, and the notes might be true or false. There's 2 actual valuable chests in here, one of which is a sanctum key, and you just kind of have to figure it out based on the notes or get lucky. I would say I had a combination of getting lucky and listening to the notes, but I still had a lot of boxes left over when I was done. If you pay attention in class, they will teach you how to spell Breaking Bad with elemental symbols. Okay, hear me out. What if we made every room an aquarium? I agree, it's dope. I am going to figure out this gallery puzzle, no matter how long it takes me. That took me a very long time to figure out, and I did it in stages. But once you understand one of these words, it helps you figure out the rest of them. Once you figure out all the paintings, you get the room 8 key. So using the 8 key lets you into the 8 room. It is a logic puzzle with 8 statues and 8 bins, 7 deadly sins, and mundanity, which I didn't know it was a crime to be normal or boring. It's hard not to take it personally. I apologize. In the shrine, you can bribe God and get a tangible notification of a real blessing. And this statue is my new god. If you light all the candles in the chapel, you get to meet this little piggy bank guy. I probably shouldn't break him, but nice. This is the first time I've been in the freezer, and there's a lot of good stuff here that appears to be frozen in ice, which makes sense to me. I'll be back in like 20 hours to unfreeze all of this. Oh hey, I'm back with some fire and I'm unfreezing everything, and it was about 20 hours, in fact. Totally worth it though. Here's a really cool chess puzzle. It is based on finding the chess pieces in different rooms of the house and knowing where you place them, and coming to this board and putting them on the grid in representation of where they are in the house. It's another great, interesting idea for a puzzle, and I really like it. So a lot of the difficulty in solving the puzzles in this game is, first of all, realizing the puzzle even exists, and second of all, getting all the RNG and rooms and different elements to line up for you, items especially. Sometimes you just won't get the right items to break through that wall or light that candle. Sometimes your whole run ends up being worthless and you fall short when you think you're going to get it. It's frustrating and I would dare say disappointing. I really like the game and I understand that it's a roguelike, but sometimes it just feels like you don't have that much control. I know this is a common complaint about the game. On the positive side, I want to say that the world building in this game is very interesting. You don't ever leave the mansion or its grounds, but you read about all the different countries and their histories and the general vibe of how each nation operates. This information is spread all over the place in books and notes, in secrets, but it's great. It's doled out to you over the course of the whole game, and you start to learn about these places that you will never visit. I really do think this game world has a lot of potential. I would love to see a sequel for this game. I don't know how it would work. So the chess puzzle from earlier has an even deeper, more elaborate secret hidden behind it that requires you to learn a different language and find a bunch of different weird clues scattered throughout the whole game. That I did notice some of these on my own, but I will freely admit that I had this puzzle spoiled for me. Not in its entirety, but I just couldn't finish it. And it is confusing. And in the end, you end up getting a scepter item that is also important in an even later puzzle. And I think that's great how the puzzles sort of cascade and stack on top of each other, but I also think it's kind of counterintuitive to the roguelike elements of this game. If you remember, I did a video on Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and all those puzzles did compound, but there was no randomness to that game. And I feel like the randomness in this game does have value as pure gameplay, but when you're trying to chase all these secrets and put together all these elements, like I said, it can be very frustrating when it just doesn't work out for you. And I'm not saying you should get everything first try. I do think there's also value in the struggle, but it will get to a point, probably for you, it did for me, where I feel like I'm wasting time playing this game. Like, I'm having fun, but I don't want to be doing this anymore. Like I said, I put 50 hours almost into the game, and so eventually, I just want to be done. I don't want to burn myself out on the game. I want to keep remembering it as this brilliant game that I really liked, and I still do. But there is a large section of time in there that I feel like could have easily been cut out, and I would have retained just as much enjoyment, maybe even more. Now, I'm not a game dev. I do not have the solutions for you on this one, and I honestly wouldn't want to compromise any of the artistic vision they had when making this game. I'm just saying that for me, it does get to a point where I would rather be done than continue looking for secrets, but I pressed on. And in pressing on, I managed to gather in one run the crown, the scepter, and a cursed stone from the shrine, and I took them all to the throne room. Now, picking up the cursed stone does reduce your steps to 13, so this requires a lot of planning and forethought. I was able to do this, and upon entering the throne room, received a cutscene where the throne room turned blue, which is, of course, a very important color for the game, and showed me this neat cutscene, and became a different room entirely, and became extremely important for unlocking 2 gigantic secrets hidden in this game. Just want to say real quick, the treasure trove is the best room in the game. I took it so many times, it has over 100 coins in it each time I find it. It's perfect. One of the very important things I'm working on is clearing out all of the crates in this tunnel under the mansion. There's a huge secret hidden back there, and I'm not going to get into it, but removing the crates was a very slow process. And here's me, 40 hours after I said that I would do it, opening the diary. I'm rewarded with lore, but that's great because that is what I wanted. I finally cleared out the tunnel, I got through all the different barriers, and I made it all the way to these 3 puzzle boxes. And you only get 1 wind-up key, but you can go spawn parlors in the mansion and take their wind-up keys to bring them back here, and that is what I did. These boxes reward you with a cutscene, which basically confirms that the game is never over and there's more to find, and also a book called The Blue Prince, which is the inverse of the Red Prince book that's always been available in the nursery in the game. The book is very nice. It's kind of a culmination of all your efforts throughout the entire game, which means for me, this is the end. I think this game is great. It's brilliant roguelike, it's a brilliant puzzle game. I'm not sure the two things mesh as well as I'd like them, especially as you end up putting more and more hours into the game, but I will say that I enjoyed all the parts I figured out, and even looking up the secrets made me realize how smart and interesting they were. I look forward to following this game and seeing if it ever gets any updates or even a sequel, or if people just find even more crazy secrets hidden within it. There is no end to this journey. Hey, thank you for watching. I appreciate any feedback that I can get, and any likes or subscribes are always welcome. I know I'm new at this, I'm kind of an amateur, but I'm working to improve, and I always just want to make sure I put my real thoughts and feelings into each video. See you next time.